sterile, wealthy CEO cries when he finds out his divorced ex-wife, who saved him, gave him triplets. His phone buzzed. Another congratulatory message. Another business deal. Another opportunity to make more money he didn't need. He'd built everything he'd ever dreamed of, yet sleep escaped him most nights. Food had no taste. Conversations felt meaningless. Have you ever made a decision that destroyed the person you loved most? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The billionaire tech CEO collapsed in his penthouse office the moment he saw three identical boys with his own dimples staring back at him from a phone screen. 2 years after his doctor shattered his world with 4 words, "You're sterile." Always been, Logan discovered something impossible. The woman singing to those children was his ex-wife, the one he divorced because investors called her a liability, the one who vanished pregnant and broken. What would you do if everything you thought you knew about yourself turned out to be a lie? Have you ever made a decision that destroyed the person you loved most? Have you watched someone sacrifice everything for image and success? This is about a man who chose money over love and discovered the devastating cost of that choice. Stay with me, because what happens next will challenge everything you believe about redemption and second chances. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and hit subscribe because this story will leave you questioning every choice you've ever made. Let me take you back to where Logan's world first began to crumble. Logan Martinez stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Dallas penthouse, watching the city lights twinkle 40 stories below. At 28, he owned everything a man could want. Private jets sat ready at his command. A garage full of luxury cars gleamed under custom lighting. His company's $300 million acquisition had just closed, making him the youngest black tech CEO to reach that milestone. The celebration party downstairs was in full swing. Investors, board members, and tech journalists filled his marble-floored living room, raising champagne glasses to his success. Everyone wanted to shake his hand, take selfies, get close to the golden boy who'd built an empire from nothing. But Logan felt nothing. He pressed his palm against the cool glass, staring at his reflection. Success tasted like ash in his mouth. Every achievement felt hollow. Every milestone left him emptier than before. The penthouse that cost more than most people's lifetime earnings felt like a prison made of marble and gold. His phone buzzed. Another congratulatory message. Another business deal. Another opportunity to make more money he didn't need. He'd built everything he'd ever dreamed of, yet sleep escaped him most nights. Food had no taste. Conversations felt meaningless. The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd climbed every mountain, conquered every goal, and stood at the top completely alone. The people downstairs weren't friends. They were contacts, investors, networking opportunities. They celebrated his success because it benefited them, not because they cared about Logan the person. He thought about the empty bedroom down the hall, the unused kitchen where he never cooked, the dining table where he ate alone every night. Success had given him everything except the one thing that mattered, someone to share it with. The champagne in his hand had gone flat, just like everything else in his perfect life. His phone rang, cutting through his thoughts. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Mr. Martinez? This is Dr. Richardson's office. He needs to see you immediately. It's urgent." The champagne glass slipped from his fingers, shattering against the marble floor. The sound echoed through the empty space like a gunshot. Have you ever felt empty at your highest moment? Comment below. The medical office smelled like disinfectant and fear. Logan sat in the leather chair across from Dr. Richardson, his hands gripping the armrest so tightly his knuckles had gone white. The doctor's face was grave, professional, but Logan could see the weight of bad news in his eyes. "I'm going to be direct with you, Logan. The tests we ran last week revealed something significant." Logan's heart hammered against his ribs. Cancer. It had to be cancer. That would explain the exhaustion, the emptiness, the way food tasted like cardboard. He braced himself for the fight of his life. "You're sterile. Always been." The words hit him like a physical blow. Logan's vision blurred. The room tilted sideways. Those 4 words destroyed everything he thought he knew about himself. What? The word came out as a whisper. The genetic testing shows you have a condition called Klinefelter syndrome. It's rare, but it means you've never been able to father children. I'm sorry, Logan. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. Logan's world collapsed. Not cancer, something worse. Something that ripped away his future, his legacy, his chance at the one thing money couldn't buy, a family. But I mean, how is that possible? I've never had any symptoms. I feel fine. Many men with your condition never show obvious signs. You've been lucky in that regard. But biologically, you cannot father children. You never could. The ceiling seemed to press down on him. Every breath felt like drowning. Logan had built an empire, conquered industries, commanded respect from the most powerful people in America. But he couldn't do the one thing that mattered most, create life. Are you absolutely certain? We ran the test 3 times. I'm sorry, Logan. There's no mistake. Logan stumbled out of the office in a daze. The Dallas heat hit him like a furnace, but he felt cold inside. Bone deep, soul-crushing cold. He sat in his Tesla for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, trying to process what he'd just learned. His phone buzzed with messages. Business deals, investment opportunities, board meetings, all of it meaningless now. What was the point of building an empire if he had no one to leave it to? Then her face flashed through his mind. Raina, the woman he'd pushed away. The woman who'd loved him before the money, before the success, before the world knew his name. The woman who'd wanted nothing more than to build a family with him. The woman he divorced because she was bad for his image. His chest tightened. For the first time in months, Logan felt something other than emptiness. He felt regret so deep it threatened to tear him apart. 2 years earlier, Logan's life had been different. Smaller, more real. He'd been just another tech startup founder, grinding 18-hour days in a cramped Atlanta office, living on energy drinks and dreams. That's when he met Raina Thompson. She wasn't like the women who chased him now, the models and socialites who saw dollar signs when they looked at him. Raina was a social worker from East Atlanta, the kind of woman who spent her days helping kids in foster care find families. She drove a beat-up Honda Civic and shopped at thrift stores, not because she was broke, but because she believed in using her resources to help others. Their first date was at a hole-in-the-wall diner where she insisted on paying for her own meal. She wore jeans and a simple blouse. No makeup, her natural hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was beautiful in a way that came from inside. Genuine, kind, real. So what's your dream? She'd asked him over coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. To build something that matters. To change the world. And after you change the world, then what? Logan had been stumped. No one had ever asked him that before. Everyone wanted to know about his business plan, his funding strategy, his exit timeline. But Raina wanted to know about his heart. I guess. I want to have a family. Kids will be proud of what their dad built. Her smile had lit up the entire diner. Now, that's a dream worth chasing. She became his anchor during the hardest months of building his company. When investors rejected him, she'd hold him while he vented his frustration. When code wouldn't work and deadlines loomed, she'd bring him dinner at the office and force him to take breaks. She believed in him when no one else did, not even himself. Raina loved him before the money, before the fame, before the world knew his name. She loved Logan the dreamer, not Logan the billionaire. She'd curl up next to him in his tiny apartment, her head on his chest, and talk about their future. The house they'd buy, the kids they have, the life they'd build together. I can't wait to see you hold our baby, she'd whisper in the dark. You're going to be an amazing father. Those words felt like daggers now. Logan slammed his fist against the steering wheel, anger and grief flooding through him. He'd had everything that mattered, and he'd thrown it away for what? Stock options? Board seats? The approval of people who didn't care about him? Raina had been his home, his heart, his future, and he'd traded her for an empire that felt like a tomb. The memory of her face when he'd served her divorce papers would haunt him forever. The way her eyes had filled with tears. The way her voice had cracked when she'd asked why. He'd given her some excuse about growing apart, about wanting different things. But the truth was uglier. His investors had made it clear Raina was a liability. A social worker from a hood didn't fit the image of a tech mogul. She'd hold him back, they said. Make him look small. So he'd chosen to look big instead of being happy. Tell me about someone who believed in you when nobody else did. The conference room at Meridian Capital felt like a courtroom. Logan sat at the head of the mahogany table, surrounded by the most powerful investors in Silicon Valley. These men controlled billions of dollars and could make or break careers with a single phone call. Marcus Webb, the lead partner, slid a folder across the table. "We need to talk about your personal situation, Logan." Logan's stomach dropped. "My personal situation? Your wife, Raina." Marcus said her name like it tasted bad. "She's becoming a problem." "A problem? What are you talking about?" David Chun, another partner, leaned forward. "The tech industry is about image, Logan. Perception matters. Your wife, she doesn't fit the profile we need for our IPO. She's a social worker. She helps kids. How is that a problem?" "She's from a projects," Marcus said bluntly. "She works with the kind of people our investors want to avoid. Hood rats. Criminals. She makes you look common." Logan's hands clenched into fists. "Don't you dare talk about my wife like that." "Look, we're not saying she's a bad person," David continued. "But optics matter. You're about to go public. You'll be worth billions. The media will dig into every aspect of your life. Do you really want them writing stories about your wife's background? Her clients? The neighborhood she grew up in? She's brilliant. She has a master's degree from Georgia Tech. She's dedicated her life to helping others. And that's admirable," Marcus said. "But it's not marketable. Tech CEOs marry models, heiresses, other executives. They don't marry social workers from East Atlanta." The room fell silent. Logan felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. These men had believed in him when no one else would. They'd given him the capital to build his empire. Without them, he'd still be coding in that cramped office, barely making rent. "What are you asking me to do?" "Be smart," Marcus said. "You're about to become one of the most powerful black men in America. You could inspire a generation, but not if you're tied to someone who drags down your brand." "My brand? We're talking about my wife. We're talking about your future, your legacy. Do you want to be remembered as the guy who had everything and threw it away for love? Or do you want to be remembered as the man who changed the world?" Logan thought about the kids Raina worked with, the foster children who had nothing, the teenagers aging out of the system with nowhere to go. She dedicated her life to giving them hope, showing them that someone cared. But she was also the woman who'd hold him back from reaching his full potential. At least, that's what these men were telling him. "The IPO is in 6 months," David said. "If you're serious about this, about building something that lasts, you need to make a choice. Her or the empire." Logan stared at the folder on the table. Inside were divorce papers, already drawn up by the firm's lawyers. All he had to do was sign them. "I need time to think." "Time is a luxury you don't have," Marcus said. "The market window won't stay open forever. Every day you wait is money lost. Opportunity wasted." Logan picked up the folder. The papers felt heavy in his hands, like they weighed more than just ink and paper. They weighed his future, his dreams, his chance at something bigger than himself. "Give me 24 hours. 24 hours, Marcus agreed. "Then we need an answer." Logan walked out of that conference room, carrying the death warrant for his marriage. He'd told himself he was making a business decision, but deep down, he knew he was about to destroy the best thing that had ever happened to him. Raina knew something was wrong the moment Logan walked through the door of their Atlanta apartment. She'd been cooking his favorite meal, jerk chicken with rice and beans, humming softly while she worked. The small kitchen smelled like home, like love, like everything good in their life together. But Logan's face told a different story. "We need to talk," he said, and those 4 words drained all the warmth from the room. She turned off the stove and faced him. After 3 years together, she could read his moods like a book. The way he avoided her eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the folder he carried like it contained poison. She knew their world was about to end. "What's wrong?" Logan placed the folder on their small dining table. The same table where they'd eaten countless meals, where she'd helped him prepare for investor meetings, where they'd planned their future together. "I've been thinking about us, about where we're going. Logan, you're scaring me. The company's about to go public. Everything's going to change. The pressure, The scrutiny, the expectations, it's going to be intense. Raina's heart started racing. Okay, we'll handle it together. We always do. That's just it, Raina. I don't think we can handle it together. I don't think this is working anymore. The words hit her like a physical blow. She gripped the edge of the counter to steady herself. What do you mean? We want different things. You want to stay in Atlanta, keep doing your social work. I need to be in Silicon Valley, building something bigger. We're growing apart. Growing apart? Logan, we just talked about having kids last week. We looked at houses last month. How are we growing apart? He finally looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Cold calculation. Like he was solving a business problem instead of talking to the woman he claimed to love. People change, Raina. I've changed. Why one has changed. What you want, or what they want. She gestured toward the folder. This is about those investors, isn't it? They don't think I'm good enough for their golden boy. That's not. Don't lie to me, Logan. I see how they look at me, like I'm some charity case you picked up from the streets. They think I'm going to embarrass you. This isn't about them. Then what's in a folder? Logan's silence was answer enough. Raina's hand shook as she opened it. Divorce papers. Legal documents dissolving their marriage like it had never mattered at all. You already had lawyers draw these up? Before you even talked to me? Raina, please try to understand. Understand what? That you're throwing away 3 years like they meant nothing? That you're choosing money over love? It's not that simple. It is that simple. Her voice cracked. You're picking them over me. Your empire over our family. What family? We don't have kids. We're just two people who grew apart. The words cut deep, but not as deep as what came next. Raina had been planning to tell him after dinner. She bought a little gift box, wrapped it with care, practiced the words she'd use to share the most important news of their lives. We don't have kids yet, she whispered, but we will, in about 7 months. Logan's face went white. What? I'm pregnant, Logan. I found out yesterday. I was going to tell you tonight, after dinner. I wanted it to be perfect. For a moment, hope flickered in his eyes. For a moment, she thought he might tear up those papers and hold her and apologize for being so stupid. Instead, he stepped back like she'd slapped him. You're lying. I'm not lying. I have the test results. I have an appointment with Dr. Williams next week. We're going to have a baby. The timing is convenient. That accusation shattered her heart completely. Convenient? You think I'm lying about carrying your child to save our marriage? You think I'm that desperate? I think you're scared. I think you'll say anything to keep me from signing those papers. Raina stared at the man she'd loved with every fiber of her being. The man she'd supported through every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt. The man who was now calling her a liar about the most sacred thing two people could create together. Sign them, she said quietly. What? Sign the papers. If you think I'm the kind of woman who would lie about being pregnant, then you don't know me at all. And if you don't know me, then we have no business being married. Logan picked up the pen with shaking hands. Raina, I just signed them. He signed. His signature looked like a death sentence written in blue ink. 2 weeks later, Raina disappeared. She quit her job, emptied her savings account, and vanished from Atlanta without a trace. She left no forwarding address, no phone number, no way for Logan to find her. She was 3 months pregnant and completely alone. What would you do if the person you loved betrayed you like this? Logan's penthouse became a monument to his success and a prison for his soul. Every morning, he'd wake up in his king-sized bed, alone, staring at the ceiling that cost more than most people's houses. The silence was deafening. No laughter, no conversation, no words. The company had gone public exactly as planned. Stock prices soared. His net worth hit the billion-dollar mark. Forbes put him on their cover twice. Time magazine named him one of the most influential people under 30. He gave speeches at Harvard, Stanford, and MIT. Everyone wanted to know his secret to success. But Logan felt like a ghost walking through his own life. He tried to find Raina, hired private investigators, checked hospitals in Atlanta and surrounding states, called her friends, her family, anyone who might know where she'd gone. But she'd vanished completely, like she'd never existed at all. The pregnancy haunted him most. Late at night, when the city was quiet and his penthouse felt like a tomb, he'd think about the child she claimed to be carrying. His child. Would it be a boy or girl? Would it have his eyes, her smile? Would it grow up wondering why Daddy never came around? He'd convinced himself she was lying. Had to be lying. The timing was too perfect, too convenient. But doubt ate at him like acid. What if she was telling the truth? What if he had a child somewhere out there, growing up without him? Work became his drug. 18-hour days. Back-to-back meetings. New acquisitions, new ventures, new mountains to climb. He threw himself into building his empire with manic intensity, hoping exhaustion would drown out the voice in his head that whispered he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. The investors were thrilled. Logan was focused, driven, ruthless in his pursuit of success. He'd become exactly what they wanted, a machine that printed money. They'd pat him on the back at board meetings, tell him how proud they were of his transformation. But Logan felt nothing. Success tasted like cardboard. Victories felt hollow. Every achievement reminded him of what he'd lost. He'd stand at his office window, looking out at the Dallas skyline, and wonder if Raina was out there somewhere. If she was happy. If she was safe. If she ever thought about him the way he thought about her every single day. The worst part was the silence. His phone used to buzz with her texts throughout the day. Little messages about her kids at work, funny memes she'd found, reminders about dinner plans. His apartment used to smell like her perfume, her cooking, her presence. Now it smelled like nothing at all. Logan had everything he'd ever wanted and nothing that mattered. He was the king of an empty kingdom, ruling over a life that felt like death. Then, on a Tuesday that started like any other, his assistant knocked on his office door. "Mr. Martinez, you need to see this." She handed him her phone. A TikTok video was playing. A woman's voice, soft and familiar, singing a lullaby. The camera panned to show 3 identical toddlers, maybe 2 years old, sitting in a circle on a worn carpet. Logan's heart stopped. The boys had his eyes, his nose, his dimples. They were carbon copies of his baby pictures, the ones his mother kept in her kitchen back in Houston. And the woman singing to them, her face finally coming into view, was Raina. Logan watched the video 17 times before his hands stopped shaking. Each time, the impossible became more real. 3 boys, identical triplets, all looking exactly like him at that age. The username was at Raina and the 3. The bio read, "Single mom in Mississippi. My boys are my world." The video had been posted just hours ago, already gaining thousands of views and hundreds of comments. Beautiful babies. Those boys look just like their mama. Single mom's strength is real. Logan scrolled through dozens of videos on her page. Raina reading bedtime stories to the boys. The 3 of them playing in a small backyard. Bath time, meal time, first steps, first words. 2 years of his children's lives documented in 30-second clips. His children. The word felt foreign and familiar at the same time. The boys' names were Marcus, David, and Logan Jr. She named one of them after him. The irony wasn't lost on him. She named their son after a father who'd abandoned them before they were even born. Logan studied their faces with desperate intensity. The way Marcus tilted his head when he was thinking. How David's laugh sounded exactly like Logan's own childhood giggles. The way Logan Jr. wrinkled his nose when he didn't like something. These were his sons, his blood, his legacy, but the math didn't make sense. The doctor had been certain. 3 separate tests, all confirming the same devastating truth. Logan was sterile, had always been sterile. It was impossible for him to father children. Yet here they were, 3 perfect little boys who looked like miniature versions of himself. Logan grabbed his phone and called Dr. Richardson. "I need to see you. Now." "Logan, it's after hours." "What's wrong?" "I need you to explain to me how I can be sterile, but have 3 biological children." Silence. "Then, that's impossible." The tests were conclusive. "I'm looking at them right now. 3 boys who look exactly like me. Their mother is my ex-wife. The timeline matches perfectly." "Logan, you need to calm down. There could be any number of explanations. The only explanation is that you were wrong. Dead wrong. And I need to know how." Logan hung up and stared at the video again. Raina looked different. Older. Tired. Her hair was shorter, more practical. She wore simple clothes. jeans and a t-shirt instead of the dresses she used to love. The background showed a modest home, maybe a trailer or small apartment. She was raising 3 children alone, working, struggling, surviving without him. The guilt hit him like a freight train. While he'd been building his empire, she'd been building their family. While he'd been chasing billions, she'd been changing diapers and wiping tears and singing lullabies to children who would never know their father. Logan called his assistant. "Cancel everything for the rest of the week. I need my jet ready in 2 hours." "Sir, you have the Samsung presentation tomorrow and the board meeting. Cancel all. I'm going to Mississippi." He spent the flight studying every video on Raina's page. The boys' first birthdays celebrated with homemade cake and dollar store decorations. Christmas morning in a living room that looked like it came from a thrift store. Halloween costumes that were clearly handmade with love and creativity. Raina had given them everything she could. Love, attention, creativity, joy. But Logan could see the strain in her eyes, the exhaustion in her smile. She was doing it alone, and it was wearing her down. The comments on her videos made it worse. "Girl, you need to find their daddy and make him pay child support. 3 kids by yourself? You're a superhero. Where's their father? He needs to step up." Logan wanted to respond to every comment, to defend himself, to explain. But what could he say? That he'd chosen money over his family? That he'd called her a liar when she told him she was pregnant? That he'd signed divorce papers instead of celebrating the best news of his life? There was no defense, no excuse, no justification. He was a billionaire who'd abandoned his children. A success story built on the biggest failure of his life. The jet touched down in Jackson, Mississippi at 11 p.m. Logan rented a car and drove through the night, following the address his private investigator had found. He had no plan, no speech prepared. He just knew he had to see them, had to know if they were real, had to face what he'd done. Have you ever had a moment that changed everything? Share your story. The address led Logan to a trailer park on the outskirts of Meridian, Mississippi. Dawn was breaking as he pulled into the gravel parking lot, his rental car looking completely out of place among the older vehicles and modest homes. Magnolia Springs Mobile Home Community. The sign was faded, paint peeling in the humid southern heat. Logan sat in his car for 20 minutes, gathering courage he didn't know he'd need. He'd faced down hostile investors, aggressive competitors, and skeptical journalists. But the thought of seeing Raina again terrified him. What would he say? How do you apologize for abandoning your pregnant wife? How do you explain choosing money over family? How do you ask for forgiveness when you don't deserve it? Logan walked through the community, looking for trailer 47B. Kids were already playing outside, their laughter echoing off the metal homes. An elderly woman watering her garden nodded at him politely, though he could see the questions in her eyes. He didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. Trailer 47B was small but well-maintained. The tiny yard was neat, with children's toys organized in colorful bins. A vegetable garden grew along one side, tomatoes and peppers thriving in the Mississippi soil. Wind chimes hung from the small porch, creating soft music in the morning breeze. Logan heard them before he saw them. 3 small voices, talking over each other in the excited way only toddlers can manage. His chest tightened. Those were his son's voices. He crept closer, hiding behind a neighboring trailer. Through the window, he could see into the small kitchen. Raina was making breakfast, moving efficiently around the cramped space. She looked tired but content, humming the same song she used to sing when they were married. The boys sat at a small table, eating cereal and chattering about cartoons. Marcus was pointing at something on his shirt. David was making faces at Logan Jr., who was giggling uncontrollably. They looked happy, safe, loved. Logan's heart shattered and mended at the same time. These were his children, his family, the family he'd thrown away for stock options and board meetings. "Mama, can we go to the park today?" Marcus asked. "After I get back from work, baby. Miss Sarah's going to watch you until then." "When's Daddy coming home?" Logan's breath caught. "I've told you before, sweetie. Daddy's not coming home. But you have me, and I love you enough for both of us. But Jimmy at school has a daddy, and Maria has a daddy. Why don't we have a daddy?" Raina's hands stilled on the counter. Logan could see her shoulders tense, the way they always did when she was trying not to cry. Sometimes daddies have to go away, but that doesn't mean you're not loved. You're the most loved boys in the whole world. Did our daddy not want us? The question hit Logan like a physical blow. His son, was asking if his father wanted him, and the answer was too complicated for a 2-year-old to understand. Your daddy made some choices. But those choices don't have anything to do with how wonderful you are. You're perfect exactly as you are. Logan gripped the side of the trailer to keep from collapsing. His children thought he didn't want them. They were growing up believing their father had abandoned them by choice. And the worst part was, they were right. Raina finished preparing breakfast and kissed each boy on the forehead. I have to go to work now. Be good for Miss Sarah, okay? She grabbed a worn purse and headed for the door. Logan ducked behind a car as she emerged, walking quickly toward an older Honda Civic that had definitely seen better days. After she left, Logan sat in his rental car and cried. Not the controlled tears of a businessman dealing with setbacks, but the raw, ugly sobs of a man who just realized he destroyed everything that mattered. He pulled out his phone and called his private investigator. I need everything you can find on Raina Thompson. Employment records, financial information, medical records if you can get them legally. Everything. Sir, I have to ask, what are your intentions here? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make this right. And if she doesn't want to be found, if she's built a life without you. Logan looked at the trailer where his sons lived, where they ate breakfast at a table that wobbled, where they asked about a daddy who'd never tucked them in at night. Then I'll respect that, but I have to try. I have to know if there's a chance. The investigator's report came back that afternoon. Raina worked 2 jobs, morning shift at a diner in town, evening shift cleaning offices. She made barely enough to cover rent, utilities, and food. No savings, no family help, no child support payments. She was raising 3 children on $22,000 a year. Logan made more than that an hour. Logan spent 3 days watching from a distance, learning the rhythm of his family's life. Raina left for work at 6 a.m., dressed in a diner uniform that had seen better days. Miss Sarah, an elderly neighbor, watched the boys until Raina returned around 2 p.m. Then Raina would spend an hour with them. Lunch, playtime, stories, before leaving for her evening job at 4 p.m. The boys were everything Logan had imagined and more. Marcus was the leader, always organizing games and adventures. David was the peacemaker, stepping in when his brothers argued. Logan Jr. was the observer, studying everything with serious dark eyes that reminded Logan of himself as a child. They played with toys that came from dollar stores and thrift shops. Their clothes were clean, but clearly hand-me-downs. The trailer was small but spotless, decorated with their artwork and family photos. Raina had created a loving home from almost nothing. On Thursday afternoon, Logan watched them through the window as Raina helped with a puzzle. The boys were fascinated by a piece showing a father and son playing catch. Marcus held it up to his mother. "Mama, why don't we have a daddy to play catch with?" Raina's smile faltered for just a moment. "We don't need a daddy to have fun. We have each other. But I want to learn how to throw a ball. I can teach you how to throw a ball, but you throw like a girl." Raina laughed despite herself. "I'm a girl, baby, but I can still teach you." Logan's chest ached. His sons wanted a father. They needed male influence, guidance, someone to teach them things their amazing mother couldn't. They deserved soccer games and camping trips and conversations about becoming men. They deserved their father. That evening, Logan followed Raina to her second job at a small office building downtown. She worked alone, cleaning offices from 4 p.m. to midnight. He watched her through the windows, emptying trash cans and mopping floors, her movements efficient but tired. This was his ex-wife, the woman who'd loved him unconditionally. The woman who'd supported his dreams even when they seemed impossible. She was working 2 jobs to support the children he'd abandoned, never complaining, never asking for help. Meanwhile, he had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. The contrast was devastating. Logan sat in his rental car, staring at the building where Raina was cleaning toilets for minimum wage while he owned private jets and penthouse apartments. The inequality wasn't just unfair, it was obscene. He pulled out his phone and called his lawyer. I need you to set up a trust fund. 3 separate accounts. I want to put $10 million in each one. Sir, that's a significant amount. Can I ask what this is for? My children. I just found out I have 3 sons. Congratulations. When would you like the accounts to be accessible? Now. I want their mother to have access immediately, and I want it done anonymously. Sir, if you're trying to establish paternity, I'm not trying to establish anything. I'm trying to right a wrong. But even as he made the arrangements, Logan knew money wouldn't fix this. You can't buy back time. You can't purchase trust. You can't write a check for the bedtime stories you never read or the first words you never heard. His sons didn't need a bank account. They needed their father. And Logan didn't know if he deserved the chance to be one. Friday morning, Logan made his decision. He couldn't keep hiding behind cars and spying through windows. He couldn't fix this from distance. If he was going to make things right, he had to face Raina directly. He had to face the consequences of his choices. The boys were playing in the small yard when Logan walked up to the trailer. They stopped what they were doing and stared at him with curious eyes. He looked like them. That much was obvious. But they didn't know who he was. Are you lost, mister? Marcus asked, always the protective older brother. I'm looking for your mama. Is she home? She's inside making lunch. But she said not to talk to strangers. Smart kids. Raina was teaching them well. You're right to be careful, but I'm not a stranger. I'm an old friend of your mama's. The front door opened, and Raina stepped onto the small porch. She wore jeans and a simple t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked exactly like she had 3 years ago, except for the exhaustion around her eyes. When she saw Logan, her face went completely white. Boys, go inside. Now. But Mama, now. The boys scrambled into the trailer, sensing the tension in their mother's voice. Raina stepped down from the porch, her hands shaking slightly. What are you doing here? I saw the video, the TikTok. I saw them, Raina. I saw our sons. They're my sons. You made that choice 3 years ago. I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. You were wrong? You called me a liar. You said I was making up the pregnancy to trap you. You signed divorce papers instead of celebrating the best news of our lives. I know I messed up, but I'm here now. I want to make things right. Raina laughed, but there was no humor in it. Make things right? You think you can just show up after 3 years and make things right? I want to try. I want to be their father. You had your chance to be their father. You chose money instead. Logan looked at the trailer, at the small yard, at the evidence of a life Raina had built without him. I can help. I can provide for them. I can give them everything they need. They don't need your money, Logan. They need a father who shows up. They need someone who puts them first. They need someone who won't disappear when things get hard. I won't disappear. I promise. Your promises don't mean anything to me anymore. The words cut deep, but Logan knew he deserved them. He'd broken every promise he'd ever made to her. Why should she believe him now? What do I have to do? How do I prove that I've changed? Raina stared at him for a long moment, her dark eyes unreadable. You don't get to prove anything. You don't get to waltz back into our lives because you finally realized what you threw away. We're fine without you. But they're asking about their father. I heard them. They want to know why they don't have a daddy. And I'll handle that, like I've handled everything else. Alone, Logan felt his last hope slipping away. Please, just give me a chance. Let me know them. Let me be part of their lives. Why? So you can abandon them again when your next big deal comes along? So you can hurt them the way you hurt me? I would never hurt them. You already have. Every day they've lived without their father, you've been hurting them. Every question they ask about why daddy isn't here, you're hurting them. Every time they see other kids with their fathers, you're hurting them. The truth was brutal and undeniable. Logan had been hurting his children from the moment he signed those divorce papers. I can't change the past, but I can change the future. No, Raina said quietly. You can't, because you're 3 years too late. She turned and walked back toward the trailer. At the door, she paused without looking back. Stay away from us, Logan. We don't need you. We never did. The door closed with a finality that echoed like a gunshot. Logan stood in the small yard, surrounded by his son's toys, knowing he'd just lost his family for the second time. What does it mean to truly see someone? Share your thoughts below. Logan didn't leave Mississippi. He couldn't. Every fiber of his being rebelled against walking away from his children again. He checked into a small motel in Meridian and spent the weekend wrestling with 3 years of regret. On Monday morning, he was waiting in the diner parking lot when Raina arrived for her shift. She saw him immediately, her jaw tightening with frustration. "I told you to stay away." "I can't. They're my sons, Raina. Whatever I did wrong, whatever mistakes I made, they're still my blood." Blood doesn't make you a father. Being there does. And you weren't there. Because I didn't know. You disappeared. You never told me where you went. You never gave me a chance to fix this. Fix this? Raina's voice rose. You think this needed fixing? You think I was broken? I was pregnant with your children, and you call me a liar. You chose your investors over your family. What was I supposed to do? Beg you to love us. You were supposed to fight for us. You were supposed to make me see reason. I was supposed to fight for us? I was 26 years old, pregnant with triplets, and my husband just divorced me. I was supposed to fight? I was trying to survive. The pain in her voice stopped Logan cold. He never thought about it from her perspective. She'd been young, scared, and completely alone. While he'd been building his empire, she'd been facing the most terrifying experience of her life without support. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I put you through. Sorry doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 years of sleepless nights. Sorry doesn't pay for the times I had to choose between groceries and electricity. Sorry doesn't explain to my sons why their father doesn't want them. I do want them. I've always wanted them. Then why aren't you on their birth certificates? Why haven't you paid a single dollar in child support? Why don't they know your name?" Logan had no answer. Every question was an indictment of his choices. "I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But I'm here now. I want to make amends." "Amends? You think this is about amends? These are children, Logan. They're not a business deal you can renegotiate. I know that. I know they're not deals. They're my sons. They're my sons. I've raised them. I've loved them. I've been there for every fever, every nightmare, every milestone. Where were you? I was building something. I was creating wealth, success. You were building nothing that mattered. You were creating emptiness. Success doesn't love you back, Logan. Money doesn't hold you when you're scared. Your empire doesn't call you daddy." The words hit like physical blows. Logan thought about his penthouse, his private jets, his billion-dollar net worth. All of it meaningless compared to 3 little boys who didn't know their father's name. "How do I fix this? Tell me how to make this right." "You can't. Some things can't be fixed. There has to be a way. The way was 3 years ago. The way was choosing love over money. The way was believing your wife when she told you she was pregnant. The way was being there." Logan felt tears burning his eyes. "I can't go back. I can't change what I did, but I can change what I do now. It's too late. It's not too late. They're 2 years old. They have their whole lives ahead of them. I can be part of that. And when your next big deal comes along, when your investors tell you that being a father is bad for your image, what then? That won't happen. How do I know that? How do I trust you with their hearts when you've already broken mine?" Logan looked at this woman who'd loved him completely, who'd supported his dreams, who'd carried his children and raised them alone. She'd been through hell because of his choices. She'd survived and thrived and created a beautiful life from the ashes of their marriage. "You don't have to trust me, but give me a chance to earn it. I gave you a chance 3 years ago. You threw it away. I was different then. I was young and stupid and listened to the wrong people. You were the same age I was when I was raising 3 babies alone. Age isn't an excuse." She was right. Logan had been old enough to know better. Old enough to make better choices. Old enough to put family first. "What do you want from me, Raina? What do I have to do? I want you to leave us alone. I want you to let us live our lives in peace." "I can't do that. I can't walk away from my children." "You already did. 3 years ago. That was different. I didn't know them then. I know them now. I've watched them play. I've heard them laugh. I've seen Marcus protect his brothers. I've seen David's kindness. I've seen Logan Jr.'s curiosity. They're amazing kids, and you've done an incredible job raising them. Thank you. I did it alone. You shouldn't have had to. They deserve better than one parent working 2 jobs. They deserve security and opportunities, and they deserve a father who shows up. Money can't replace that, but it can help. It can make your life easier. It can give them opportunities one never had. I don't want your money. It's not about what you want. It's about what they need. They need their father. All of him, not just his wallet. Logan stared at her, seeing the strength that had carried her through 3 years of single motherhood. She'd raised his children with love and grace despite his abandonment. She'd worked 2 jobs without complaint. She'd created a home from nothing. She was everything he'd given up and more. I love them. You don't know them. I want to know them. I want to be their father. Being a father isn't about wanting. It's about doing. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about putting someone else's needs before your own. I could do that. Can you? Can you really put 3 little boys ahead of your business? Can you choose bedtime stories over board meetings? Can you love them more than you love success? The question hung in the air between them. Logan thought about his empire, his deals, his drive to build and acquire and dominate. Could he really choose differently? I can try. Try isn't good enough. My sons deserve better than try. Raina turned to walk into the diner, but Logan grabbed her arm gently. Please, just let me see them. Let me talk to them. Give me one chance to show you I've changed. She looked at his hand on her arm, then at his face. For a moment, he saw something soften in her eyes. Hope, maybe. Or just exhaustion. One chance, Logan. One. If you hurt them, if you disappear again, if you put anything ahead of them, I'll make sure you never see them again. I understand. Do you? Do you really understand what you're asking for? This isn't a business deal. This isn't a merger. These are children who need stability and love and commitment. Can you give them that? Logan thought about his empty penthouse, his meaningless achievements, his hollow success. Then he thought about 3 little boys who looked like him, who needed their father, who deserved better than the choice he'd made 3 years ago. Yes, I can give them that. Then be at the trailer tomorrow at 6. We'll see if you're telling the truth. This time, when she walked away, Logan felt something he hadn't experienced in years. He felt hope. Logan's hands shook as he stared at the stack of letters on his lawyer's desk. 23 envelopes, all addressed to him, all from Raina. The postmarks showed dates spanning 2 years, letters that should have reached him but never did. Richard Blackwood, his personal attorney and supposed friend, sat across from him with the expression of a man caught stealing from a church collection plate. The same man who'd handled his divorce. The same man who'd promised to take care of everything. The same man who'd been lying to his face for 2 years. You kept these from me, Logan said, his voice barely above a whisper. Logan, let me explain. You kept my wife's letters from me. Logan's voice exploded through the office. She was trying to reach me, and you what? Just decided I shouldn't know. Richard adjusted his expensive tie. It was a business decision. You were about to go public. The IPO was critical. These letters would have derailed everything. Logan grabbed the first envelope. His name was written in Raina's careful handwriting, the same way she used to write little notes and leave them in his lunch bag. The postmark was dated 3 months after their divorce. What do they say? Logan, I don't think you should. What do they say, Richard? Richard sighed. She told you about the pregnancy. About the boys. She asked for help. She wanted you to know you were a father. The room started spinning. Logan gripped the edge of the desk to keep from falling. Boys? As in plural. Triplets. 3 sons. Born 6 months after the divorce. Logan's world crumbled for the second time in a week. Not 1 child. 3. 3 sons he'd never met, never held, never even known existed. While he'd been building his empire, his children had been growing up in poverty because his lawyer decided he didn't need to know. The DNA test results came back yesterday, Logan said quietly. I can have children. I've always been able to have children. The medical records were fake. Richard's face went pale. What? Someone paid to have my medical records altered. Someone wanted me to believe I was sterile. Someone wanted me to give up hope of ever having a family. Logan's eyes locked onto Richard's. Someone who knew that if I believed I could never have children, I'd never look for them. Logan, you don't understand the pressure I was under. Who paid you? What? Who paid you to keep those letters from me? Who paid you to destroy my family? Richard stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. I think you should leave. Answer me. Who paid you? Marcus Webb called me after the divorce. He said the letters were a distraction. He said if you got them, you'd throw away everything you'd worked for. He said it was better for everyone if you just moved on. Logan felt something snap inside him. Marcus Webb, the lead investor, the man who'd forced him to choose between love and money, the man who'd orchestrated the destruction of his marriage and then made sure he could never find his way back. He paid you to keep me from my children. He paid me to protect your interests, your financial interests. Do you know what you're worth now? $2 billion. If you'd stayed with Raina, if you'd known about the kids, you never would have focused on the business. You'd be broke and struggling just like her. I'd be happy. You'd be poor. I'd be a father. Logan grabbed the letters and headed for the door. Richard called after him, but Logan didn't stop. He had 23 letters to read, 23 chances to hear from the woman he destroyed and the children he'd never known. The first letter was dated 4 months after their divorce. Dear Logan, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I had to tell you. I am pregnant. I know the timing seems suspicious, but I swear on my mother's grave, these are your children. Yes, children. The doctor says it's triplets. 3 boys. I am scared, Logan. I'm alone and scared and I don't know what to do. I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm just asking you to know that you're going to be a father. Please call me. Logan's hand shook as he read letter after letter. Raina telling him about doctor appointments, about morning sickness, about choosing names, about being evicted from their apartment because she couldn't work while carrying 3 babies. The letters got more desperate as time went on. Raina asking for help with medical bills. Raina asking for just a phone call. Raina asking if he even cared that his sons were about to be born. Then came the letter that broke him. Dear Logan, your sons were born today. David, Michael, and Samuel. They're beautiful. They have your eyes, your smile, your stubborn chin. David was born first, screaming like he was angry at the world. Michael came next, quiet and thoughtful. Samuel was last, but he's the biggest. The doctor says they're all healthy, but I can't afford to keep them in the hospital much longer. I'm living in a motel room with 3 newborns and no money. I don't know what else to do. I'm sorry I wasn't good enough for your new life. I'm sorry I wasn't worth keeping. But please, Logan, don't punish your children for my mistakes. They need their father. We need you. Logan collapsed in his car, tears streaming down his face. While he'd been celebrating his IPO, his sons had been born in poverty. While he'd been buying private jets, his children had been hungry. While he'd been building his empire, his family had been falling apart. The last letter was dated just 6 months ago. Dear Logan, I'm not sure why I keep writing these letters. You clearly don't want anything to do with us. The boys are walking now, talking, asking about their daddy. I don't know what to tell them. How do I explain that their father chose money over them? How do I explain that we weren't worth fighting for? I'm working 2 jobs now, trying to keep us afloat. David wants to play football. Michael loves to read. Samuel is obsessed with cars, just like he used to be. They're amazing kids, Logan. You be proud of them. I guess this is my last letter. I won't bother you anymore. I just wanted you to know that your sons are growing up to be good men, even without you. I hope your empire was worth it. Logan sat in his car for an hour, reading and rereading those letters. 2 years of his children's lives, documented in his ex-wife's handwriting. 2 years of missed birthdays, missed first steps, missed bedtime stories. 2 years of his sons growing up thinking their father didn't want them. Marcus Webb had stolen more than just letters. He'd stolen Logan's chance to be a father. He'd stolen his children's chance to know their dad. He'd stolen 2 years that Logan could never get back. But the worst part? Logan had let him do it. He'd chosen the money. He'd chosen the empire. He'd chosen everything except what mattered most. His phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Board meeting tomorrow. Big announcement about the merger. Hope you're ready to make history. Logan stared at the message, then at the letters in his lap. He'd made history, all right. He'd become the richest man who'd ever lost everything that mattered. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Tell us about it. The medical lab felt like a tomb. Logan sat in the sterile waiting room. the results envelope trembling in his hands. After everything he'd learned, the fake medical records, the hidden letters, the conspiracy to keep him from his children, this piece of paper would either confirm his worst fears or his greatest hope. Dr. Patricia Williams, the same doctor who delivered Raina's boys, sat across from him with a gentle expression. She'd been the one to suggest the DNA test after Logan had shown up at her office 3 days ago, desperate and broken, begging for answers. "Are you ready?" she asked. Logan nodded, though he wasn't sure he'd ever be ready for this moment. If the test was negative, it would mean he'd destroyed his life for nothing. If it was positive, it would mean he'd abandoned his children for 2 years while they grew up in poverty. Either way, he'd failed. "The results are conclusive," Dr. Williams said. "David, Michael, and Samuel are your biological sons." There's no doubt. Logan's vision blurred. The words hit him like a physical blow, even though he'd been expecting them. Seeing those 3 boys in the TikTok video, seeing his own features reflected in their faces, he'd known. But knowing and having proof were 2 different things. "How is this possible? My doctor said I was sterile. I've reviewed your medical records. The ones from Dr. Richardson's office. They're fabricated. Someone went to great lengths to make you believe you couldn't have children." "But why? Why would someone do that?" Dr. Williams leaned forward. "Logan, I've been practicing medicine for 30 years. I've seen corporate espionage, insurance fraud, medical malpractice. But I've never seen anything like this. Someone wanted to destroy your family, and they were willing to commit multiple felonies to do it." Logan thought about Marcus Webb's threats, about the pressure to divorce Raina, about the letters that had been hidden from him. The conspiracy went deeper than he'd imagined. "How long have you known Raina was trying to reach me? She came to me after the boys were born. She was desperate. She said she'd been writing you letters, but never got any response. She thought you just didn't care. I never got the letters. My lawyer kept them from me." Dr. Williams shook her head. "That poor girl. She was so young, so scared. Raising 3 babies alone, working 2 jobs, never asking for charity. She's got more strength than most people I know. Where is she now? I can't tell you that. Patient confidentiality." "But Logan," she handed him a business card. "There's a children's advocate named Sarah Martinez who's been helping Raina navigate the system. She might be able to help you understand what your family has been going through." Logan stared at the card. Sarah Martinez, a name he'd never heard, but who apparently knew more about his children than he did. What kind of help has Raina needed? The kind that comes with being a single mother of 3 in rural Mississippi. Food assistance, housing help, medical care. Your sons are healthy, but it's been a struggle. The guilt hit him like a truck. While he'd been living in luxury, his children had been on food stamps. While he'd been buying private jets, his sons had been wondering where their next meal would come from. "Dr. Williams, I need to know something. Are my boys, are they okay? Developmentally?" "They're remarkable children. David is the natural leader, confident, protective of his brothers. Michael is the thinker, always asking questions, always reading. Samuel is the charmer, can make anyone smile. But Logan, what?" They ask about their father. Constantly. Raina has done her best to shield them from the truth, but they know something's missing. They see other kids with dads and wonder why they don't have one. Logan closed his eyes. His sons had been asking about him. While he'd been building his empire, his children had been wondering why their father didn't want them. "How do I fix this?" "That depends. Are you ready to be a father? Not just financially, but emotionally? These boys have been through enough. They don't need another person who's going to disappear from their lives." Logan looked at the DNA results again. 3 names. 3 little boys who shared his blood, his features, his stubborn chin. 3 children who'd grown up believing their father didn't love them. "I'm ready," he said. "I don't know how to be a father, but I'm ready to learn." "Then you need to understand something. Raina isn't going to make this easy for you. She spent 2 years protecting those boys from rejection. She's not going to let you waltz back into their lives just because you finally decided to show up." "What do you mean?" "She's built a fortress around her family. She's been mother and father to those boys. She's sacrificed everything for them. And she's terrified that you're going to break their hearts the same way you broke hers." Logan felt the weight of his choices pressing down on him. He thought the hardest part would be finding his family. but finding them was just the beginning. The real challenge would be earning their forgiveness. Dr. Williams, if you see Raina, will you tell her something for me? What's that? Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I know sorry isn't enough, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make this right. Dr. Williams nodded. I'll tell her. But Logan? Actions speak louder than words. If you want your family back, you're going to have to prove you've changed. Logan walked out of that medical office with the DNA results in his pocket and a weight on his shoulders heavier than any he'd ever carried. He was a father. He had 3 sons, and he had no idea how to win them back. But he was going to try, even if it took everything he had. Logan's private investigator sat across from him in the downtown Dallas office, a thick file folder between them. Jake Morrison had been tracking financial records, phone calls, and paper trails for 3 weeks. What he'd found would have sounded like a conspiracy theory if Logan hadn't lived through it himself. You're not going to like this, Jake said, opening the folder. I already don't like any of this. Just tell me what you found. The medical records weren't just fake. They were part of a coordinated effort to manipulate your personal life. Someone paid Dr. Richardson's office $50,000 to alter your test results and create a false diagnosis. Logan's jaw tightened. Who? It gets worse. The same person who paid for the fake medical records also paid your lawyer to intercept Raina's letters. And they paid a private investigator to track her movements and make sure she stayed hidden. Marcus Webb. Not directly. Webb used shell companies and intermediaries. But the money trail leads back to him and his investment firm. Logan leaned back in his chair. The scope of the betrayal was staggering. Why would he go to such lengths? Control. You were his golden boy, his biggest investment. He needed you focused on the business, not distracted by family. When Raina got pregnant, she became a threat to his billions. Jay pulled out a stack of documents. But that's not the worst part. Webb didn't just want to keep you from your family. He wanted to destroy Raina completely. What do you mean? He's been sabotaging her for 2 years. Every time she applied for a better job, mysterious references would surface that painted her as unreliable. Every time she tried to get approved for housing assistance, her applications would get lost. Every time she applied for daycare assistance, there would be problems with her paperwork. Logan felt sick. He's been actively working to keep her in poverty. It gets worse. Webb has been building a case to have her declared an unfit mother. He's been documenting every struggle, every hardship, every moment of desperation. He's been planning to have your sons taken away from her. Taken away? What? Think about it. If Raina lost custody of the boys, where would they go? To their biological father. To you. Except you wouldn't have known they were yours because of the fake medical records. Webb would have arranged for them to be adopted by one of his associates. He'd have complete control over your children, and you'd never know they existed. Logan stood up, pacing the length of the office. The evil of it was breathtaking. Webb hadn't just destroyed his marriage. He'd orchestrated a plan to steal his children and erase his family completely. How close is he to succeeding? Too close. Raina's been struggling financially. She's behind on rent, behind on bills. She's working 2 jobs, but can barely keep her head above water. Webb's people have been documenting every missed payment, every late rent check, every time she's had to choose between buying food and paying utilities. And if she loses custody, the boys would enter the system. Webb has connections in family services. He's been positioning himself to have them placed with a family that's already been selected. A family that would cut off all contact with their biological parents. Logan felt rage building in his chest. He's trying to kidnap my children. Legally, yes. And it's working. Raina has a court hearing next month. If she can't prove financial stability, if she can't show she can provide for 3 growing boys, she could lose them. Does she know? She knows she's struggling. She knows the system is working against her. But she doesn't know why. She thinks it's just bad luck. She has no idea there's a deliberate campaign to destroy her. Logan grabbed his phone. I need to call her. I need to warn her. Logan, wait. If you contact her now, if you suddenly show up after 2 years, it might actually hurt her case. Webb's people will say you're an unfit father who abandoned his children. They'll say Raina is so desperate she's reconnecting with a man who rejected his own family. Then what do? You have to be smart about this. You have to outmaneuver Webb at his own game. Logan thought about the man who'd forced him to choose between love and money. The man who'd stolen his letters, falsified his medical records, and was now trying to steal his children. Marcus Webb had underestimated one thing. Logan hadn't become a billionaire by backing down from a fight. What do you need from me? Everything. Access to your financial records, your communications with Webb, your lawyer's files. We need to build a case that exposes the entire conspiracy. And then we save your family. But Logan, you need to understand something. Even if we stop Webb, even if we expose what he's done, that doesn't mean Raina will forgive you. She's been through hell for 2 years. She's been raising your children alone, fighting battles you didn't even know existed. I know, do you? Because she's not the same woman you divorced. She's stronger now, harder. She's had to be. She's built walls around her heart to protect herself and those boys. Breaking through those walls is going to be the fight of your life. Logan looked out the window at the Dallas skyline. Somewhere out there, his children were growing up without him. Somewhere out there, the woman he'd loved and lost was fighting to keep their family together. And somewhere out there, Marcus Webb was pulling strings to destroy everything Logan had ever cared about. I'll fight, Logan said quietly. I'll fight for them, whatever it takes. Good, because Webb isn't going to go down without a war. He's got too much invested in keeping you under his control. Logan turned back to Jake. Then let's give him a war. Sometimes the truth we need isn't what we expect. What's your take? The boardroom at Meridian Capital had never felt so cold. Logan sat at the head of the mahogany table, surrounded by the same investors who'd forced him to choose between love and money 2 years ago. But this time, he held all the cards. Marcus Webb entered the room with his usual swagger, expecting another victory. He'd called this emergency meeting to discuss the final details of Logan's next acquisition, a deal that would make him worth $5 billion. Gentlemen, Marcus began, taking his seat at the opposite end of the table. Today we make history. Logan's about to become the youngest black billionaire, too. Shut up, Marcus. The room fell silent. Logan had never spoken to Marcus that way before. The other investors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Excuse me. Marcus's voice was sharp. I said shut up. I'm done listening to your lies. Logan pulled out a thick folder and placed it on the table. I know about the medical records. I know about the letters. I know about the conspiracy to steal my children. Marcus's face went pale, but he recovered quickly. I don't know what you're talking about. $50,000 to Dr. Richardson's office to fake my sterility diagnosis. Another $30,000 to my lawyer to intercept Raina's letters. 2 years of sabotaging my ex-wife's life to keep her in poverty. Should I continue? The other investors looked confused. David Chun leaned forward. What's he talking about, Marcus? Logan's having some kind of breakdown. The pressure of success. The pressure of finding out I have 3 sons who've been growing up in poverty while you've been stealing their father from them. Logan opened the folder and pulled out the DNA results. David, Michael, and Samuel Martinez. My boys, born 6 months after you forced me to divorce their mother. The room erupted in whispers. Marcus stood up, his face red with anger. You're making a mistake, Logan. Those children will destroy everything you've built. Good, because what I built isn't worth having. You're worth $5 billion, and I give every penny to have my family back. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. You're being emotional. You're not thinking clearly. Those people are my family, my wife and my children. The people I should have been protecting instead of making you richer. David Chun looked between them. Marcus, did you really interfere with Logan's personal life? I protected our investment. Logan was about to throw away everything for some woman from the projects. Some woman. Logan's voice was dangerous. That woman is the mother of my children. That woman has been working 2 jobs to keep my sons fed while I've been buying private jets. Another investor, Robert Kim, spoke up. Marcus, if this is true, if you've been manipulating Logan's personal relationships, I've been protecting billions of dollars in value. Do you know what Logan would be worth if he'd stayed married to that woman? Nothing. He'd be working some dead-end job, struggling to pay rent. He'd be happy, Logan said quietly. He'd be a father. Marcus laughed bitterly. Happy doesn't pay dividends. Happy doesn't create jobs. Happy doesn't change the world. Neither does being miserable. Logan stood up, addressing the room. I'm withdrawing from the acquisition. I'm stepping down as CEO. I'm liquidating my holdings. The room exploded in protests. Marcus looked like he was having a heart attack. You can't do that. You have contractual obligations. Swim me. I've got enough money to fight you in court for the rest of my life. Logan, be reasonable, David pleaded. You're about to become one of the most powerful men in America. I was about to become one of the most powerful men in America. But power without family is just loneliness with a bigger bank account. Logan gathered his papers. I'm done. I'm done with this company, this board, and this life. I'm going to find my family and spend the rest of my life trying to earn their forgiveness. Marcus's voice was desperate now. They don't want you, Logan. That woman has been raising those children for 2 years without you. She's moved on. She doesn't need you. Maybe not, but I need them, and I'm going to fight for them. You'll lose everything. I already lost everything 2 years ago when you convinced me to choose money over love. The difference is, now I know what really matters. Logan walked toward the door, then turned back. Oh, and Marcus? The FBI is very interested in your methods of business manipulation. Wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy. They're building quite a case. Marcus's face went white. You can't. Already did. You wanted to play games with my family. Now you get to play games with federal prosecutors. Logan left the boardroom for the last time, walking away from billions of dollars and never looking back. He had a family to find. He had children to meet. He had a life to rebuild. The elevator doors closed behind him, and for the first time in 2 years, Logan felt free. The small house in rural Mississippi looked like something from a movie. White picket fence, wraparound porch, flower boxes under the windows. But Logan could see the signs of struggle. Peeling paint, a sagging roof, a car in the driveway that had seen better days. He'd been sitting in his rental car for an hour, watching his sons play in the backyard. David, the leader, organizing some kind of game. Michael, the thinker, sitting under a tree with a book. Samuel, the charmer, making his brothers laugh with silly faces. They were beautiful, perfect, everything he'd never known he wanted. The front door opened, and Raina stepped onto the porch. She looked older, tired, but still beautiful. She wore simple clothes, jeans and a t-shirt, but she carried herself with a strength that hadn't been there before. 2 years of raising 3 boys alone had changed her. She spotted his car immediately. Small towns didn't get many visitors, especially not men in expensive suits driving rental cars. She stood perfectly still, watching him, waiting. Logan took a deep breath and got out of the car. The moment he stepped onto the sidewalk, the boys noticed him. They stopped playing and stared, curious about the stranger who looked so much like them. Boys, go inside, Raina called. But Mama, now. David herded his brothers toward the house, but Logan could see them watching from the window. He walked slowly up the path, his heart pounding with every step. Hello, Raina. She didn't respond, just stood there, arms crossed, walls up. I know you don't want to see me. I know I have no right to be here, but I need you to know the truth. The truth? The truth is you abandoned us. The truth is you chose money over family. The truth is my sons have been asking about their father for 2 years, and I've had to tell them he didn't want them. That's not true, isn't it? You divorced me. You ignored my letters. You disappeared from our lives. I never got your letters. Raina's composure cracked slightly. What? I never got your letters. My lawyer kept them from me. All 23 of them. Logan pulled out the stack of envelopes, still in Raina's handwriting. I found them last week. I've read every one. Every word about the pregnancy, about the boys being born, about you asking for help. Raina's hands shook as she recognized her own letters. You never saw them. I never knew you were pregnant. I never knew about David, Michael, and Samuel. I never knew they existed until I saw that TikTok video. But the divorce was the biggest mistake of my life. I was weak, Raina. I was scared and stupid, and I let Marcus Webb convince me that you weren't good enough for my image. Marcus Webb? Your investor? He orchestrated everything. The fake medical records that made me think I was sterile. The hidden letters. The sabotage of your job applications and housing assistance. He's been trying to destroy our family from the beginning. Raina staggered backward. What medical records? I was told I was sterile, that I could never have children. It was a lie, designed to make me believe I'd never be a father. But why? Why would he do that? Control. He needed me focused on business, not family. When you got pregnant, you became a threat to his billions. Raina sank into a porch chair, the weight of 2 years of struggle suddenly making sense. All this time I thought you just didn't care. I cared. I've always cared. I just didn't know. The boys ask about you every day. They want to know why their daddy doesn't love them. Logan's voice broke. I do love them. I love them more than anything in the world. And I've never even met them. They're amazing children, Logan. David wants to be a lawyer so he can help people like his mama. Michael reads constantly. He's already reading at a 5th grade level. Samuel wants to build cars because someone told him his daddy used to love cars. Can I meet them? Raina was quiet for a long moment. Logan, they don't know you. To them, you're just a man who left. It's going to take time. I have time. I have all the time in the world. What about your company? Your empire? I walked away from it. All of it. I liquidated everything. I'm worth about $50 million now, which is still more than I'll ever need. You gave up billions of dollars. I gave up billions of dollars for a chance to be a father. For a chance to be the man I should have been 2 years ago. Raina wiped tears from her eyes. I don't know if I can trust you again, Logan. I don't know if I can risk the boys getting attached to you just to have you leave again. I'm not leaving. Ever. I'll move to Mississippi if I have to. I'll live in a trailer park if it means being close to my sons. Logan, I know I can't undo the past 2 years. I know I can't take back the pain I caused. But I can promise you this. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you and those boys. I will be the father they deserve and the man you fell in love with. The front door opened and David peeked out. Mama, are you okay? Raina looked at Logan, then at her son. David, come here. Bring your brothers. 3 little boys filed onto the porch, curiosity overcoming shyness. They looked at Logan with wide eyes, taking in his features that so closely matched their own. Boys, Raina said softly, this is Logan. He's your father. The silence stretched for an eternity. Then Samuel, the youngest, stepped forward. Are you going to stay this time? Logan knelt down to Samuel's eye level, tears streaming down his face. Yes, son, I'm going to stay, if you'll let me. Samuel studied him for a moment, then threw his small arms around Logan's neck. I knew you'd come back. I knew it. Michael approached cautiously. Are you really our dad? Yes, I am. And I'm sorry it took me so long to find you. David, the protective older brother, hung back. You made Mama cry a lot. I know. And I'm going to spend every day making sure she never cries because of me again. Logan looked up at Raina, who was watching the scene with tears in her eyes. I know this doesn't fix everything. I know we have a long way to go. But I'm here now. I'm here, and I'm not leaving. Raina nodded slowly. We'll take it one day at a time. One day at a time, Logan agreed. For the first time in 2 years, Logan felt whole. He had his family back. He had a second chance. And he was going to spend the rest of his life making sure he never lost them again. But as he held his sons for the first time, Logan didn't know about the final secret Marcus Webb had been hiding. He didn't know about the federal investigation that would soon expose corruption reaching the highest levels of Silicon Valley. He didn't know that his decision to choose family over money would make him a target for people who would stop at nothing to protect their secrets. The truth that could destroy everything wasn't about the past. It was about the future, and it was coming for them all. What does family really mean to you? Subscribe for more stories that will change how you see the world.